Hello, yeah, how are you doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Uh, One of my friends got COVID, and then, yeah, in the beginning of the stage, and yeah, she's talking about she's joking about the COVID, and then, yeah, what if even, yeah, actually her husband got the COVID first, and then she was taking care of her husband, and then she said, yeah, probably I can get together. So I told her not to do that. Yeah, the reaction is very different. Yeah, from different individuals. So, and I told her to be careful, but she got it and she has a really severe kind of ailment, illness, and then yeah, I think she's getting recovered from the COVID now. So anyway, still yeah, we got vaccinated, and then still we are exposed to kind of sickness because of COVID. So COVID, and then yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, for yeah, who got COVID, and sometimes she said she lost about 70% or 80% of the taste. Yeah, she couldn't just taste the just salty taste, but yeah, maybe eventually it's coming back, but still you cannot go work, you cannot study, and it's not easy, right? So maybe yeah, the sickness can affect yeah, so other family members. So I hope you guys doing okay, right? Yeah, we are talking about, yeah, we are learning about the ancient philosophy. So we already talked about the pre-Socratic, and then we talk about the ancient philosophy around Greek ancient philosophy, and then we talk about Socrates and Plato and Aristotle. And then after that, we kind of looked over the Hellenistic philosophers, and then after that, and Hellenism is finished around 30, 31 BC, and then after that, Romans take over the power, and then still, even though the Hellenistic philosophy is introduced to the Romans and philosophers, Roman countries, and then still, they develop their own things with their politics and then their own things, right? And we also, learning about kind of a surveying about the Roman philosophers. Yeah. Today is the last day of the kind of background of the understanding of the background of Christian thought. So what was going on behind, kind of in the background of the Christianity. Yeah. So before the Christianity formed, and there is a Greek influences, and then Roman influences, not just for the political not by the just political influence and then economic influence, but there is kind of a philosophical influence, and then I don't, you can see maybe sometimes really similar things you can see, and sometimes it's totally different, but always there kind of reciprocal influence, but whether the Christianity takes or not, and but still some people, some thinkers kind of asserted, oh, this is a, and we gotta understand it, this is interpretation. There is kind of repute. There was a reputation between the traditional understanding and the new coming thinkers. So today we're gonna go over the Romans, philosophers, and then we can see the early Christian thinkers, and then my kind of lectures are based on the I got all information from Wikipedia and other Stanford philosophy encyclopedia, and I try to from the textbook, and then I try to see distinguish from which one is verified, which one is not verified. So usually I share with you guys, and then usually verified by other books and articles. So I want to make sure that the information that you got, and you can so you could read the textbook, and then there's a consider part only part of and you can see other books, and then you consider early Christian thinkers. So I don't know how many we gonna learn about them, but still, it's a lot of work, and so I hope that we can understand what was going on around in terms of the philosophy around that time, right? So I tried to cover up to around AD 500 and 400, because around that time is turning to middle age. So I'm gonna go into the middle age and then I'm gonna see just the early Christianity, for the early Christianity thinkers. Today, so one of the philosophers is Sextus Empiricus. Empiricus is he is around the late second centuries, but we don't have many information about him. But he wrote a lot of books, cited from the other the philosophers. So he provided a lot of resources, but sometimes scholars scholars are thinking about it is worthy or not, and because sometimes he wrote too detailed stuff that was not important, but he missed a lot of important stuff. So that's why. But still, he had a lot. We have mentioned a lot of philosophers and then their thinkings. But that's why he is influence on the philosophies, and he is a Greek philosophers, but he is Pyrrhonist. Pyrrhonist unit there is a skepticism who developed Pyrrho, and Pyrrho is the philosopher and empiric school physician. So maybe he was a physician, and but he sometimes we don't know who is, but the Suda one, 10th century Byzantine encyclopedia says that he is the same person as Sextus of Caronia. So we call we see that there was a Sextus Empiricus, but was the encyclopedia, the Suda said he is a Sextus of Caronia. Maybe he came from the Caronia. Usually we say that, right? But according to the Diogenes and the Suda, and there was a Sextus Empiricus wrote 10 books on pluralism, and he is a very skeptic philosopher, right? And he wrote three books. No, he wrote a lot of books, but three books survived. And then one book is the outline of pluralism, and the other one is kind of two books under ed versus mathematicals, and then there was also two books under the title. So this book is seems like it's not complete yet, but I don't know if you guys remember when I talk about the Hellenistic philosophers, he mentioned a lot. So I already mentioned Sextus, Sextus, but maybe you can go back and consider. Sextus Empiricus raised a concern about what, which is applied to all type of knowledge, but he doubted because he's a skeptic, and then he doubted the validity of the inductions. Do you know induction? You couldn't get there is deduction there is a principle is there, and then you can deduct one by one and find the conclusion with the individuals. What is the element like that? But in induction is what? There is a lot of stuff, individual particular stuff is there. You can put together and categorize and then find what? Eventually find the principle. That's induction. So he kind of concerned about the validity of inductions. So usually, because you're gonna know why he really concerned about it. Maybe later, and the end of the year, not the end of later, and he doesn't believe that there's a lot of different ways that we can feel, we can see, and because of the dimension and character and quantity and a lot of different reasons. So there's 10 things, 10 modes, because of 10 modes we are not sure whether we can see the real stuff, right? And that's why he doubted the validity of the induction. Dogma is kind of already given by kind of belief, like a belief, and dogma is already given, and there's a principle, and then we can talk about that one, but he accepted it, even though he is a skeptic. Let's see. Sextus Empiricus advised that the human being should what? Suspend, hold on the judgment about the approach or belief. And you cannot say that this is absolute right, this is true, right? So human being, we should neither affirm any belief as a true nor deny any belief as false. And we are not sure which one is true, which one is false. And that's a Pyrrhonian skepticism, right? We cannot know anything. What about it's really true? But so academic skepticism is really different, right? And then he opened the door for the absolute things. And so, but I already said that Sextus did not deny the possibility of the knowledge, but he criticized the academic skepticism's claim that nothing is knowable as being a formative belief. Nothing is knowable. And he said that we can simply give up the belief. And suspending judgment is about whether it's or not, anything is knowable. So only by the way, we can, even though we don't know whether it's true or not, but we can attain the state of ataraxia, meaning the peace of mind. That is about who pursues the ataraxia. That's a Stoics and pursue the attraction, peace of mind, and that just giving always that's all. But even though we don't know, but still we can get there. So Sextus did not think such as a general suspension of judgment to be impractical, since we may live without only belief, right? So he still he's opened the door for the dogma and the belief. So he said the skeptic does not conduct his life according to philosophical theory. And it means that, so as regards the non-philosophical regulation of life, he is capable of desiring something and avoiding others. It means that, so skepticism may kind of entertain whether God exists or not, but or virtues is good or not, but also he will not believe that such claims are true on the basis of reason. And because, no reason for the assenting such a claim has yet been shown to be any more credible than the reasons for the denial. So he said, just think about it, and whether we can you reason, and then can you say we are not sure? But we are not sure that either, right? That's why. So he said a little bit deep. He followed the four theories, but still a little bit different from the extreme radical skepticism. He said, I believe, and mean that assent to something non-evident, mean that still he opened the door for the dogma, but still, but it's and non-evident. Dogma, you believe, you cannot see it just abstract, right? We believe. And then he said, but what's non-evident to me is that something that lies beyond appearance. We can see, and we can see, we can feel. So non-evident that beyond proof or disproof, and just as the existence or the nature of causality, time, motion, and it will prove itself. And there is, but we had kind of mind, but we cannot deny it, right? That's you cannot, even though you have a reason, and then you cannot say either true or not. So that is his position. So, and it's not clear, but still there is, but like dogma, like a belief, and which is we cannot see appearance, but beyond the appearance, right? So skepticism simply goes along with the appearance like this, and but reality of the appearance, they cannot say anything. Just what they see and then what they heard, and you can see, right? And according to the appearance, and they read and they said, okay, we can say it is true, we cannot say that's why we suspend our judgment. Yeah. He said it is for the reason that Saxotus says that the skeptic lives in accordance with appearance and also according to fourfold regime of life, and because of that they have their own philosophical positions. First, fourfold regime of life is what? The guidance of nature, and the compulsion of path, feeling, and the law and customs, and what? The instruction, art, and craft. So, there's a lot of different area, but he's open, right? And so skepticism follow this course of life while suspending judgment concerning the ultimate truth of the non-evident matters, but debated in philosophy and science. So, the forest achieves ataraxia, the peace of mind, by not by judging something, but what? Rather, through his kind of refined ability to oppose appearance to the judgments. Okay, you can see that kind of in this class, and then maybe you say, wow, it's so bright, it's so dark. It's really relative, right? So he said that you can just hold the judgment. That's you can go to a peace of mind. Here is the 10 modes that you can kind of induce the suspension of judgment. And I think so when we see those, and then we showed before, but let me show you one more time. And 10 modes kind of helps to judge other judging appearance. And then what's the first one? The first one, the same impression are not produced by the same object, because of the difference in animals. So animals, just think about animals, even though they see same things, but depends on their observation, they can have a different impression about it, right? Like just think about here is a big elephant, and then when I try to help my kids to observe something when they are young, and then I told them, I bring to the pot, and then can you see what you observe, right? But I have 2 daughters, and then she observed different from her. And so I asked her to draw what you observe, and then their drawing is different. There's the second one. The same impression are not produce the same object, only the difference among the human beings. It's a categorized a little bit different, and animals and human beings. Look at this, and the same impression are not produce the same object, was because of the difference among the what sense. We see different, we feel different, right? We taste different. Depends on. It makes sense, right? It makes sense. Okay, maybe. But just think about this, kind of, the trend of the philosophy is kind of really relative. It's not absolute. They thought that there is no absolute knowledge. We cannot say this is right, this is wrong. Look at this and force and because of the circumstances and conditions or dispositions and characteristics and the same object appear different. So these are the states that are natural or unnatural, maybe waking or sleeping or condition, with the conditions because of ages and motion or rest and hatred or love and emptiness, fullness, drunkenness or soberness and there is soberness and predisposition or confidence or fear and grief or joy. Depends on the circumstances, maybe you can perceive different. Makes sense, right? Sometimes even though you are really tired, think about if you are really tired, then you are easily annoyed by the same thing. Yesterday you are not annoyed by that one, but today if you are tired because of your body condition, it's really annoying. Makes sense to me. What about number 5? Based on positions, distance, and location, the following each of these, the same object appear different. What is sometimes illusion of eyes? I don't know whether you can see the kind of pictures and then, what is a railroad? And then, do you know, in the beginning it's kind of longer, but when you go all the way and smaller, short, longer and short, but still what? The length is the same. That is maybe one of because of the location. Sometimes if you bring the same object in the darkness, you cannot say anything. But if you bring the in the light, and then you can see details. Because of the position and distance and location, right? What about we deduce since no object strikes us entirely by itself, but along with something else, it may be perhaps possible to say what the mixtures are compound out of external object, and then the things perceived with it is alike. But we would not be able to say what external object is like by itself. Right? Sometimes you put together, right? And then it comes out totally different. So that's why we cannot say, what's the external object like itself. What about 7 is like this, and based on the quality and quantity, and what is the constitution of the underlying object. I mean that generally by constitution, the manner of the composition. Because of that one, we can appear the object doesn't appear the same. Here it says that, for example, the gold horn appeared black when intact, it's not hurt, and if you keep as it is, but it is appeared white when ground up. So intact and ground up, little color is changed. Snow appears white when frozen and what? Transcendent as liquid. So kind of differentiates, right? But yeah, we can say, yeah, snow is different from, yeah, maybe the same object, but yeah, its appearance different, right? They say the really appearance, impression. What about it? All, yeah, since all things appear relative, right? It's relative, I already said that, and then we will suspend the judgment about what things exist absolutely and really existence. So, yeah, do things which exist differently as opposed to those things have a distinct existence of their own. So, different from relative things or not. And that is another one. So just think about this kind of, yeah, it's really relative, right? And what about number 9? Based on the constancy or rarity of the occurrence. It's coming constantly, sporadically or rarely. And we cannot perceive the same. And then the sun is more amazing than the comet because what? We see and feel the warmth of the sun daily and then the comet rarely. That's one of the examples that he gave us. And then depends on the constancy and the rarity. And last one is it's about ethics, being based on the rules of conduct, having laws, as a legendary belief, and then dogmatic concept. Depends on what you have, and then just every person have a different value. So some people say cheating is not bad. That's why they cheat other people. But they are okay. But some people, had kind of really discomfort when they discomfort when they cheat others, right? That's a different law, based on the happy law or values, belief, dogmatic conceptions, right? Yeah, that's the 10 reason that they cannot say this is right, that this is wrong, and then this is true or this is false, and then that's why you gotta suspending the judgment. So maybe you could really analyze the 10 modes, and then what is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then based on the how the subject, how subject judge, right? How subject, And what about the 7 and 10? This is a set of quantity and constitution of underlying object, and what's the based on the object judged by, right? What about the 5, 6, 7, 8? 5, 6, 8, 9 is the the based on the subject and judge, who judges and object judged. Like 7, no, 8, maybe because of the subject, because of the object. So it's not only from the subject. Sometimes object itself has kind of give us ambiguity. Depends on maybe That's why people can miss perceive and perceive wrong of the reality of the object. So Saxatu's outline was widely read in Europe during the 16th and 17th and 18th centuries, and then had a profound effect of Mitchell, Monty, David Hume, and George Beale and Pretty Hegel, among other people. So they are the philosophers, and they are the really, Hume is kind of really, the Hegel is directed, and Hume is really kind of, he denied the human mind is kind of human mind is a tabula rasa, and then you can prove whatever you. That's why there's a really experienced and a little bit different. That's why, and they are the people who pursued the enlightenment, and then and kind of influence the world to see in different way, right? Just to think about the Middle Ages, and then it's a lot of different things, and it's hard to understand what kind of people are doing. So maybe they try to see the world in different, but that's why in that kind of situation, the philosophy is really influential. So give them insight to see the world in a different way, and then they think about which way is better to for the society. That's why, and absolute knowledge is challenging during the Roman, Hellenist period and Roman period, right? But nowadays they don't say the relativism and pluralism, but all the foundation is kind of laid in the early, by philosophy. Here is Alexander and Aphrodisias. Alexander Aphrodisias is around 200. Think about at the time, and Christianity going through a lot of issues about understanding their faith and understanding about Jesus Christ, understanding of a human being. He is very peripatetic philosophers. Peripatetic philosophers. Who are the peripatetic philosophers? Who are the follower of the what? Aristotle, right? Aristotle. He is the most celebrated of the ancient Greek commentator on writing of Aristotle. He was a native of Aphrodisias in Caria, and lived and taught in Athens at the beginning of the 3rd century, around 200, right? And he held a position at the head of the peripatetic schools who followed the Aristotle. So he's one of the great guy who understands kind of Aristotle very well, and writing the commentaries. So he wrote many commentaries on works of Aristotle, and here is, and then there are on the prior analytics, topics, and meteorology, sense, and sensibilia, and metaphysics. This one is kind of his commentary somewhat survived, right? And several original treatises also survived like this on faith, in which he argued against the Stoic doctrine of necessity and on the soul. So maybe we can a little bit go over about what his commentary, what it's about, and then he was a student of the two Stoic, or the Peripatetic philosopher, philosopher in Sosthenes, and then Herminus, and maybe Aristotle's, Mytilene. So that's kind of our guess, but he was it means that he influenced by the Stoic philosophies. So he was in Athens. He became the head of the Peripatetic philosophy schools, and he taught on the Peripatetic philosophies. So his another name is the Titus Aurelius Alexander, right? His full name is one is Titus Aurelius Alexander. So Alexander kind of composed several commentaries on the works of Aristotle. We already mentioned, and what he tried to seek escape the syncretic tendency and then recover the pure doctrine of Aristotle. Just think about the time is around AD, but Aristotle is how many years ago? It's around 600, 500, right? And around that time, and then his influence was descending, and there was a school, but still, other philosophies came out, like Pyrrhoism and Epicureanism and Stoicism, and still, Platonism is there. So, but there is a kind of maybe influence here and influences and here and there, and they adopt a little bit different things, and then they create different things, right? That just syncretic, right? But he tried to recover the original doctrine of the Aristotle's. Here is some commentary that I got from Here is on the soul is contained the undeveloped person, reason in man is a kind of the material. He called material, and inseparable from the body. So right, kind of perish together. Just think about he argues strong against the doctrine of soul's immorality. And immorality, but soul is kind of it's like stick to the body and go away. But he identified the active intellect, who has a kind of the potential intellect in man become actual and with God. So still, if you have the intellectualism as a reason, right reason, and then become actual with God, it's like a Stoic influence. What about the supplement to on the soul? We call Mantissa. Mantissa is the series of the what? Series of the 25 separate pieces of the books, and then what? And opening 5 deal directly with the psychology. And then he covers a problem in physics and ethics, of which the largest group deals with the question of vision and light. It's kind of physics, and the final 4, with the faith and providence. That is even though he doesn't follow the Stoic, but still he is mentioned about faith, right? And maybe, let's see. There is a problem and solutions, and then here is the treat of subject which are not all physical, all are not all problems. So there is kind of just think about he used psychologies and logic and metaphysics, and then he deals with faith and providence, right? And he's kind of the problem and solution is kind of also has 3 books to deal with these problems, questions. So what about the book of the questions, and he deals with ethical problems and discussion of ethical issues based on the Aristotle, and contains a response to question and problem deriving from the Alexander school, right? And his basic philosophy is kind of he not revived, but he tried to revive his what is the original Aristotle philosophy, right? And on faith is the argues against the Stoic doctrine of necessity. Necessity, right? Necessity, So maybe describing and denied the 3 things: necessity and foreknowledge of a fate event, and determinism. He argued about this one. The fate is related to determinism, and what is the happiness and the aligned with the natures, all natures under the we cannot see but universal law, right? Is there. Here is what is the mixture and growth is a copy mixture of the physical bodies, and then here is another the principle of the universe, and then there is a kind of a preserving the Muslim world, and then copies survived to give general account of Aristotle's cosmology and metaphysics. And Aristotle is kind of he's really Plato is kind of idealist, and then we said and Aristotle is really experientialist, right? And so to think about how the Aristotle understands it was teleological, right? Teleological, and then there's everything has kind of moved to the purpose. Providence, he opposed the Stoic view that divine providence extended to all aspects of the world. That is a Stoic view, but he regarded this idea as unworthy of the gods, and then instead, providence is kind of already planned, predestined, and providence is a power that emanates from the heavens to the sub-lunar reason. And this is a response for the generation and destruction of all earthly things without any direct involvement in the lives of individuals. I don't know, how you guys understand, and just it's not a providence of power that emanates from the heavens to the sub-lunar reason, and but responsible generation and destruction of earthly things, right? So it means that the providence means that we understand that providence is what? God's providence means that we are not involved in whole things, plans, but it's God's providence means that it's God's plans. It's out of our touch, but still everything is going on like this. And sometimes we say that God's providence means that what? It's just saying though, right? So not any direct involvement in the lives of the individuals. We are not, we are the kind of recipient, whether it's good or not, right? So until by the 6th century, Alexander's commentary on Aristotle's is considered so useful, right? And that the commentator would greatly esteem among the Arabs and translate many of them. And there is a kind of where he is heavily quoted by the Maimonides. I never heard his name, but Maimonides, and then I don't know that the sound is right, but 2 weeks ago I went to Phoenix, and then there was a ceremony. I attended my daughter's some ceremony, and then the priest came, because the Catholic school, and priest came out and they recite together, or recite the prayer of Maimonides, Maimonides, but I don't know exactly how it goes on, but it was really touched. And then last night, I totally forgot about. I just remembered the prayer. Wow! And then I totally forgot, because he's a Jewish philosopher, and then reflect kind of God and all things. And last night, and I look up the Maimonides, the author of Maimonides. Try listen. It's really interesting. But you can see what is the eternal being that people try to explain, but the Jewish philosopher already acknowledge it, right? And here it is. The eternal providence has appointed me to watch over the life and health of their creatures. May the love for my art actuate me at all times. May neither ever rise nor miserableness, nor thirst for glory or for a great reputation engage my mind. For the enemies for truth and philanthropy could easily deceive me, and make me forgetful of my lofty aim of doing good to thy children. May I never see in the patient anything but a fellow creature in pain. Grant me strength, time, and opportunity always to correct what I have acquired, always to extend each domain. For knowledge it is immense, and the spirit of man can extend indefinitely to enrich itself daily with new requirement. Today, he can recover his errors of yesterday, and tomorrow he can obtain a new light on what he thinks himself sure of today. O God, you has appointed me to watch over the life and death of their creatures. Here am I, ready for my vocation, and now I turn onto my calling. Yeah. It's really, I think a lot, and I thought about my calling, and which is kind of related to how I shall live my life. Yeah, and so around his philosophy is not kind of favor for churches, and so around 1210, the church in 1210, and the Church Council of Paris issued a condemnation of his writings, and right, that was a little bit different from understanding from the Christianity. And but just think about in the early Renaissance, his doctrine of the soul mortality was adopted by Pedro. So that is a kind of soul's mortality, right? Mortality is adopted. So still, he lived in third centuries, and then he influenced a lot on Renaissance, the scholars and people who wants to kind of change. Yeah, that's the Alexander, right? That's Alexander. He's really devout understanding the Aristotle, right? And then try to write a lot of commentaries. What about another philosopher? Is Ananias Sekos. Ananias Sekos is he is a Hellenistic playwright and self-taught philosopher. Wow. He didn't go to others, but he didn't learn from others, but he studied by himself. Hellenistic playwright. Maybe he studied Plato, he kind of accepted the Plato's positions, right? But around that time, so 175 and 242 AD, and Epicureanism and skepticism and the Stoicism is already dominant at the time, and so he tried to go back, and there is kind of there is a continual kind of it's a movement to the Platonism, right? But other philosophies really dominate, and the kind of their influence is kind of lessons and what. And then he kind of bringing up and then influence other philosopher and then who's his student and then start neo-Plagiarism. Refine the Plagiarism again. And there's a I will consider later, okay? So, he is a teacher of Plotinus and Plotinus, and then I guess we talk about a little. Today we're gonna talk about more. So, and he was a teacher of the Plotinus, and then he taught around 232 and 232 and 242. And he gave them really biggest influence, and then also Neo-Platonism is kind of an influence a lot on the religion at the times. So so most detail of Anemonia's life comes from the fragment of left from the profile writings. He's another guy, and also he's influenced a lot on the Plotinus, but still he mentioned about the Ammonius, right? Ammonius, Secus. There is a lot of debating on his identity. So maybe some people say, some people say he was in the beginning. Her parents is a Christian, so he's a Christian, but after he learned the Greek philosophy, and then he followed the Greek philosophy and abandoned his faith. But his conversion is kind of totally changed him. But there is a lot of things on. Maybe some people still say he's a Christian or he's non-Christian, but another people say, okay, there's a different person, and Anonymous is Sarkas is who taught the players, but Anonymous is the Christian who wrote the biblical context. So they some people try to separate some different identity, but some people put together. So his fundamental doctrine was Plato and Aristotle. So he followed their argument, but around Ananias held the soul was immaterial, so not the morals, right? Immaterial. It's not gonna be, so in the beginning and in the middle, a lot of we are trying to explain the soul is kind of material, but he said that the soul was immaterial. So he was the person kind of the bridge between the old and the new Platonism. We call it the middle Platonism. He's the one who kind of leads the middle Platonism. And his student, Plotinus, kind of developed the whole things and and he had a kind of neo-Platonism. But it's not the terminology there at the time, but it's around the 19th centuries, and then the scholars kind of distinguish the beginning and middle and later. So they had Platonism and Middle Platonism and the Neoplatonism. So he's the man who bridged between early and Neo. So he's a Middle Platonism. So Plotinus is a really influential man, and he is a philosopher in Hellenistic tradition, meaning they follow the Aristotle and maybe Aristotle and Plato, right? He born and raised in Roman Egypt, and so Plotinus is kind of regarded by modern scholarship as the founder of the Neoplatonism, right? And so the terminology is invented in 19th centuries, and in his metaphysical writing, Metaphysics, and then Plotinus described the three fundamental principles: the one, the intellect, the soul. And what is the one? And the one is the supreme and the totally transcendent one, right? Contain no division and multiplication or the distinction beyond all category of the being and non-being. The one is cannot be any existing things, no, merely. So just we cannot explain, but there is it's from everything is originating from the one. Still maintains the whole universe, right? So he explained that the one is with the concept of good and the principle of beauties. So every thinker's object and kind of everything is kind of encompasses that's a one, right? So just to think that it's easy to say that one is like God, right? Who are not created but still there. I don't know how his beginning is his beginning started but still there. That's a kind of if you understand the way it's easier. And he denies sentience and self-awareness or any other action to the one. Rather, he said call the one show potentiality, dynamic without nothing could exist. Right? Just think about the without impossible for the one to be being or self-aware creator God. So the one is like he compared with some analogy with the one to light. He said the intellect, divine intellect is loose, we call it to the sun. And the last is the soul is to the moon, whose merely derivative conglomeration light from the sun, right? There's the one is kind of also very comprehensive, right? But divine intellect is what? Like some mean that, like the one is the universe, and then there's a lot of the what is the scientists a lot of solar system and Milky Ways, and they said, and then what? And today I kind of skimmed through the what's on news from the Facebook, and the scientists found black holes like this, right? And the soul is kind of loaded into the one and then the divine intellect. So, yeah, the life, just think about the one is compared to life. We don't know how it comes out, how created, how made it, but well, if you read the Genesis chapter 1, and there's a God is there. It's without, impossible for the one to be being self, awareness, and then he created all things from nothing, right? That is the Bible. But we don't know. Maybe he got the idea from the Bible, or the Bible is the longer than this. Yeah, his, right? His philosophy. So the one, so being beyond all attribute, including being or non-being, is the source of the world. Source of the world, right? Everything comes from the one. So he said that, but not through any act of creations, willful, otherwise, since activity cannot be ascribed to the unchangeable, mutable one. Not the act of any but not act, but not through any act of creation. So, right? If you read the Bible and then God created with what? His word. He didn't do any labor to create the whole universe. Right? So, Plotinus argues that what? The multiple cannot exist without simple. The less perfect must of necessity will emanate or less for. Issue forth from the perfect and more perfect. So all of creation emanate from the one in succeeding stage of lesser or lesser perfections. Can you see how, according to his, how it kind of changes explain the involvement of the universe and Earth? That's from the kind of small things and a little more perfect, more better, right? And that is one. So that is still kind of evolution idea is there. So the one is not just an intellectual concept, but sometimes it can be experienced, an experience where one goes beyond all multiplicity. It's not an intellectual concept, it's not an abstract concept though. So can be experienced, an experience where people goes beyond all multiplicity. Here is, he said, we ought not even to say that he will say, but he will be that which he says. If indeed it is possible any longer to distinguish between seer and sin, and not boldly to affirm that two are the one. So we can experience. Just think about his ideas about philosophy. About. So here is superficially considered. Plotinus seems to be offer an alternative to the Orthodox Christian notion of creation, also out of nothing. So always the metaphysics of the emanations confirms the absolute transcendence of the one or the divine as the source of being in all things that remains transcendent of them in its own natures. So remember that the one was still the one in no way affected or diminished by these emanations because it's from the one. Whereas the one emanates something, but it's not affected. Just as the Christian God is no way that it affects some sort of exterior nothingness. That is his understanding of the one, right? Here is then he said that three kinds of emanations. The first one is nous, divine mind, logos, order, thought, reason. So nous is the logos we heard before, right? Identify metaphorically with demerge in previous Timaeus, and it is supposed to will toward the good. So from nous, proceed from the word soul, and then there is he said that the one is emanate, and there was a nous. First one is kind of emanate from the one, and the what? The word source emanate from the what? The nous. Subdivision, right? There's a higher, this the word source later. And then also the low aspect of soul with nature, the word soul proceeds individual human soul. And then eventually the nous is there, and then emanate what? The world soul emanate human souls. And it means that human souls at least perfected level in their customs. What is the world soul? And that is his basic understanding of the cosmos. So he asserted ultimately divine nature with material creations. And just think about how he created all things. It's a little bit different from ours, right? Christians understanding. We don't understand their way, but still, the God created the world, but he said that the one, and it's emanated from nous emanated from what? Emanated what? The world soul, and the world soul emanated is what? The human souls. That one is a human soul is at least level. And one thing that we need to think about, so what is the human happiness? What is the human happiness? And so what is consistent with the true human identity with that which is the best in the universe. Happiness is kind of it's not a physical stuff. He said happiness beyond anything physical. Plotinus stressed that the point that worldly fortune does not control true human happiness. Right? Truly, just think about it, and biblical values and other religious values. So eventually, the issue of happiness is one of the Plotinus great imprint on the Western thought, right? And we had a kind of a mind right now, so we can be happy even though we don't have much. It's not material stuff. The true human being is an incorporeal, contemplative capacity of the soul. And human being is the spirit, like this. And superior to all things corporeal. That's a human being, true human being. Just think about in the world, right? It means that superior than animals. So, the real human happiness is independent of the physical world, physical stuff, and then so we do a lot of religion thinking about Nineveh and the kingdom of God and right heavens. The real happiness depends on the metaphysical and often human being found in the highest capacity of reason. Right. So eventually people have hyphen region, and then think about incorporeal contemplative capacity of the soul, and then that's the humans, and then eventually found in the highest capacity of reason, right? And that's the true real happiness. So if you wanna pursue find happiness, and you will not be bothered by sickness, discomfort, and because the focus is on the great things. You think about other things. So authentic human happiness is utilized the most authentically human capacity of contemplations and reason and think, right? So at least he separates you cannot be happy with physical material, physical world, right? You have kind of thinking about, use your reason, right? And kind of then you can find happiness. Then eventually, he will emphasize on the region and contemplation. So you just what is contemplation? You will think deep and ponder with the reason, and it makes sense. That's a basic understanding is related to the Christian faith and such as God, who God is. He is another porphyry and then what? Porphyry and then tire. He's around 233, 34 to around 305. Was the Tyrian philosophers. You know, it's a tire, and it's like you can see the Israel map and you can see coastal area, right? And I think so. She is really influenced by the Greek philosophy and cultures, and then he wrote the original works in the Greek language on a wide variety of topics ranging from the music theory and Homer and to vegetarianism, like this. And he's kind of Isagogue is like an introduction of logic and philosophy was the standard textbook on logic through Middle Ages. It's Latin and Arabic translations. So he's pretty organized. He was a philosopher very well, and he's really, I think, knowledgeable, right? And standard textbook on logic, throughout the Middle Ages. Yeah, he was not favored by Christians, and he was involved in the controversy with the early Christians. So his work is in philosophy and against the Christians is kind of it's not favorable for Christians. And his one of the work is kind of he was the introduce what is the basic philosophy, but he really think about the introduction of categories, the introduction in predicamenta, Isagogue, Aristotle, and then he kind of translate the categorizing the commentary about Aristotle, and then this intelligible is describe how quantities attributed things may be classified famously, breaking down the philosophical concept of substance into the 5 components: genus, species, differences of property, and extent. And he tried to that's why his logic is kind of really famous, and then used textbook, right? And that's really influential. And maybe Darren is like sometimes was quantities attributed to things, but maybe it's really different from the Christian perspective, and that's why there is some problems there. So introduction to the categories incorporate Aristotle logic into Neoplatonism. In particular, the doctrine of a category of being interpreted in terms of entities. So little bit he and put together, right? And he the porphyry introduction become a standard. I already said it, right? Universe, and especially European schools and universities, and then set the stage for the medieval philosophical and theological development of logic and problem of the universe. So this is used today. It is the taxonomy benefit from the concept of porphyry trees. It's kind of how they categorize in classifying living organisms. Yeah, he is the opponent of Christianity and defender of paganism. Yeah, that is his philosophy, and basically, and just I give you like kind of a really influential philosophy in Roman period. Like one is today. The first one, what is really important is who created neo-Platonism is like Plotinus, and then who is the first one? We today saw that Sextus, Empiricus, and then just think about around 200 to 800 period of time, and one of the issues was the body, understanding soul, understanding God, right? So Neoplatonism is really influential at the time, right? And they try to explain the human beings, but still they think about ethics a lot, not like it's different from Greek philosophers, and then how to live, and then like last week, and we already saw that, we already learned that the philosophy is supposed to be way of life, right? It's not just abstract and conceptual stuff. And maybe while we are talking about early Christian thinkers, and then we can bring up the philosophy again, maybe school of philosophies, and then how influential was main topics, why Christian doesn't like the philosophies and philosophers, and then we can talk about that one. So how they decide, they kind of made kind of paved the way for Christian doctrines in the early stage of Christianity. So we can see that one from next week. So next 3 weeks, and we're gonna talk about the Christian, the early Christian thinkers, philosophers. We don't say the philosopher, but thinkers, and they're still some of them really influenced by the philosophy and try to explain in a philosophical way, but some of them still keep their own explanation, not the philosophical way, like a faith, right? And so this is kind of a preview, not a preview about understanding of background of the Christian philosophy around the time early, and let's see how like Plotinus, and we can see a lot of differences, and somehow already talk about the human souls, right? But a little bit different, but we can see how influence others are for early thinkers, and then how they understand why they kind of just judged to sect like this, right? And call not just sect, So from the next week, a little bit different way there, where we can really focus on what we need to do. So, okay, you guys, and if you ask me a lot of your philosophy about them, but still my goal is not to give the detailed stuff, but kind of survey the background of the philosophy, and so which is influence Christianity. So that's my main goals. Yeah. So maybe if you are interested, and then information is mostly same, but maybe yeah, maybe if you go to more academic paper, deeper and deeper, and then maybe you can see more understanding and different stuff. But still, I try to introduce a really basic understanding of that one. But sometimes it's not in depth, it's not deep enough, so maybe you can dig more. So if you ask some question to me, I try to dig more and we can talk. So maybe if you have so let's see next week how when we jump in, what was the challenge from outside to the Christianity. Okay, you guys have a great week, and then see you next week. Okay, God bless you.